We are giving away this signed piece of the Hamilton F1 car once we get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. To participate in it, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and introduce the code found along this video and your email on our website. Good luck! Toto Wolff is without a doubt one of, if not the greatest team principal in the history of F1. 8 Constructors' Championships and 7 Drivers' Championships in a row, picking up 111 wins and 53 first and second finishes from 2014, when the Mercedes dominance of F1 started, until 2021. To put that in context, there have been 160 races across the 8 seasons when Mercedes were world champions, and they have won a staggering 69% of them. To do that across a single season is amazing enough, but to do it consistently over 8 years is a whole different level of dominance. To say it has never happened in F1 before is an understatement. It's never happened in any sport. Even Jordan's Chicago Bulls only had 3 NBA in a row, albeit twice. Real Madrid had 2 of the most dominant stretches in world football, and even they managed to win only 5 and 4 UEFA Champions Leagues respectively. Toto Wolff's achievement with Mercedes is not only unprecedented for F1, but it's also unprecedented for sports. And for him to do that in F1, the most competitive, lethal and unpredictable sport, where a small thing such as a small piece of debris on the track can derail your entire season, is a testimony to that. So, how did this man, born of immigrant parents in Vienna, become the most dominant team principal in the history of F1 and had the most dominant run of any team in sports history? Well, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Toto Wolff loves cars. That is a sort of prerequisite when you're a Formula 1 team principal. When he was young, he became a racing driver, driving in the Austrian Formula 4 Championship in 1992. In 1994, he showed his prowess by winning his category in the Nürburgring 24-hour race, funnily enough in a car sponsored by Red Bull, a team which is now, as we all know, his fiercest rival. But unlike other racing drivers who spent their money on fast cars and fast women, Toto decided to take it slow. In 1998, he founded his first investment company called March 15, and then founded another investment company in 2004 called March 16, and invested his money into internet and technology companies that were working on interesting and innovative ideas. But it didn't take too long for his love of motorsports to draw him back into his world. In 2006, he bought a 49% share of HWA, the company that was at the time responsible for the development and racing of Mercedes-Benz DTM cars and F3 engines. The world of motorsport was beckoning him to return, and in 2009, Toto finally saw and took the opportunity to go to the pinnacle of motorsport, something he dreamed of doing when he was a young driver. But instead of racing for a team, he'd be running it. So he decided to buy a 5% share of Williams F1 Racing. It didn't take long for Toto to prove himself as a competent leader at Williams, as in 2012 he was elected executive director at Williams. Toto, in 4 short years of being a member of the board of Williams, managed to prove himself to the point where he was made the man in charge of the whole organization. But this wasn't the highest peak he reached, as destiny called him again just a year later. Mercedes had bought Braun GP, a world championship winning team, in 2009, but the new rules of 2010 meant that they didn't have a competitive car, despite having at the time the most successful F1 driver of all time in Michael Schumacher and a young rapid GP2 champion Nico Rosberg. While they managed to win a few races and score a few podiums, most of them won by Nico. Schumacher and Braun worked behind the scenes to develop the car and engine for the new 2014 regulations. But it became evident to the higher-ups at Daimler, Mercedes' parent company, that more fresh blood was needed if they were to secure that illustrious first F1 World Championship in the modern era, and Toto became the only option to fill those shoes. In 2013, he negotiated and bought a 33% stake in Mercedes Grand Prix. The company responsible for running the Mercedes F1 team became team principal and began assembling the pieces needed to bring glory to the team. The first of these pieces joined Mercedes at the same time as he did. Niki Lauda, 3-time F1 champion and world-renowned businessman, after his career in F1 had joined Mercedes-Benz as a 10% shareholder and quickly became Toto's advisor in the team. As the saying goes, no king rules alone, and this is especially true for Toto. Having Niki there in the early days of running Mercedes was, for Toto, of paramount importance for 2 reasons. The first reason was that, while Toto is a legend and an authority figure in F1 today, he was just another team principal at the time. Nizzy, however, was a 3-time world champion, making him F1 royalty. He finished 4th in a race after almost losing his life and having half his face burned off just 4 weeks earlier. The man is a beast. And above all that, he speaks a language that Toto does not. The language only 34 people speak. The language of an F1 world champion. You see, while Toto was and is a very talented businessman and manager, he is at his core a numbers man, in a sport that's always required and requires an indescribable fire within the hearts of the people in it. Just like us, the fans, the people running the team must be passionate about the team and the results. Though this is not to say that Toto is not passionate about the sport now. The countless broken tables and headsets are a testament to that. But Toto was at the beginning more of a background figure, responsible for the financial and development side of the team. You know, the stuff we fans don't see, but the stuff that wins world championships. While Nizzy managed the drivers and the egos in the team, something Toto learned how to do from Nizzy. You could say that in the beginning, Toto was the brains of the operation, while Nizzy was the heart. Together they formed a deadly duo, one that would start to dominate the sport in 2014 when the new engine regulations hit the scene. But while Mercedes had assembled a deadly duo of managers and had managed to build one of, if not the greatest engine in the history of the sport, there was still one piece of the puzzle that was missing. That piece of the puzzle was called Lewis Hamilton, and after Nizzy inexplicably convinced Lewis to leave McLaren, one of the best teams in F1 at the time, and join Mercedes on a complete gamble, everything was set for Mercedes' dominance. But it's one thing to win 1 world championship, or even 2, but 8 in a row? Anita Elbers, a professor of business administration at Harvard, who has been researching sports leaders and teams for almost her entire career, said about Toto before 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, yes, the exact one you're thinking of, win or lose today, the Mercedes team under Wolff's leadership has every reason to claim the title the most successful team in the history of F1, the world's most prestigious motor racing competition, and with its remarkable 7 going on 8-year winning streak, perhaps in all of the sports. And she credits this to 2 things. The first one is something we already discussed. Toto is a numbers man, and a talented one. Even though F1 teams have what seem to be massive budgets, you can't just throw money at a car and make it go fast. Case in point, Ferrari. So Toto's talent is knowing what part of the car to put the money into to get the most out of the car. After all, as Toto has himself said countless times, the stopwatch never lies. The second one is something that can't be as easily quantified. Toto's man management leadership and passion. It's something he undoubtedly learned a lot about from Nizzy and his management of Nico and Lewis within the Mercedes team. It also trickles down to the rest of the team, because they know that Toto demands only the best from his drivers and his team, and anything short of that is unacceptable. But his passion is not to be ignored, as it shows that it isn't just about the bottom line for him. When something goes wrong, he is livid. When an injustice happens to his drivers or his team, he will fight tooth and nail, like in Abu Dhabi 2021. When a mistake is made, he takes personal responsibility and does his utmost to fix it. He doesn't lose words or time by embellishing the facts like other team principals may do. If something is shit, Toto will be the first to say it. Toto Wolff is a fucking boss. He is the fucking boss. And 8 world championships and a net worth of $1.25 billion are not enough for him. Toto wants more, and as the old giants of F1 awake and new ones emerge, it will be fun to see whether or not he manages to lead another run of Mercedes dominance in F1.